All right. Hello, y'all. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Booktician. And I am in New Orleans, and I'm at Baldwin & Co. Bookstore. This is the bookstore I've always wanted to go to. It's Black owned. It's super dope. I took some beautiful videos of the bookstore, and I'm going to show it to y'all. I know, though, I accidentally did it in the wrong frame, but we're going to do what we got to do, okay? So today's my birthday. Not really, but when you're seeing this, it's my birthday, which is tomorrow. And last year I did just a let me talk to y'all about actors or famous people who were born on my birthday and see if we can share some kind of similar traits. So I chose Lenny Kravitz, and I also chose Stevie Nicks. So first we're going to start with Lenny Kravitz, and then we'll go to Stevie Nicks. So these are just a couple things that I learned about Lenny Kravitz that I felt that him and I definitely understood. One is that he really had a beautiful relationship with wanting to explore cultures that was different than his, or to strengthen the cultures that he already have, or the identities that he already have. It was very interesting to hear him talk about being a biracial black man, what that entails. I thought it was really beautiful of all the things that he used to kind of help solidify or move through the music that he chose to do. I think it was wonderful that he was influenced by Jimi Hendrix, who is an artist that's always seemed very elusive to me, and I definitely need to do some more research, because when I went to his burial place a couple years ago, I was like, this seems like a dude that I want to know about. And I also like that he was influenced by Jimi Hendrix in the same way that Miles Davis was. So I thought that was pretty dope to have not only a connection from last year when I talked about other famous people who have the same birthday as me, and seeing that connection between myself, Miles Davis, and also Lenny Kravitz was just wonderful. Moving forward with that, and I hope that you're able to hear my voice as I am on a very busy road. I'm on St. Claude and Elysian Field, so it can be very busy over here. Lenny Kravitz, I feel, has a way of expressing love that just felt so natural to who he was and who he stood for. And I feel like he did something throughout his life, which was trying to find his voice, make sure that his voice was authentic to himself, in addition to kind of breaking up a couple bands, which I feel like the flip-floppy-ish stuff that he was doing, and I'm naming it that because that's what people call it and say it and refer to it as like a Gemini trait. And I know that he was saying that to you, but I think that a lot of Geminis are outwardly indecisive people. So we are talking and communicating about things that we're on the fence about outwardly, and so many people get to see it and engage with that type of thought process. And to them, they're like, oh, this person is flip-floppy, this person has two-faced, and they're this, and that's not it. And another thing that I really loved and enjoyed about Lenny Kravitz is that he was not afraid to be like, hey, I can see all sides of the situation. I can see how all people can be impacted by something. And he also tried to be as true to himself as possible. And also in the book, it talked about the relationship that he had even with Miles Davis. And I am a fan of Miles Davis since reading his autobiography. And I just think that was just so dope. And I didn't even know how many famous people, including Toni Morrison, is Lenny Kravitz's godmothers. He had 5 of them, and one of them was Cicely Tyson. To have such powerful women be your godparents, how does it feel to be one of God's chosen ones, Lenny? How? No, I'm just kidding. But I just thought that his whole life and everything that he has done is just so dope. And to share a birthday with such a prolific human being is an honor to me. And it was also beautiful to hear how he was in relationships with people that I'm aware of and not aware of, how he compared his behavior and things that he did with his father, who was very strict and abusive in a lot of ways. And his mom was also, the nurturing one. She took care of him, but she also did some things that you probably shouldn't have done to a child. But to see him reflect on the lessons that he received from his parents was beautiful, because that lets me know that he is doing healing, has done some healing, and is working on himself. And then also reading how he became to be in the orbit that is Lisa Bonet, because that's how I describe it. There's some people I think just have an orbit and people are attracted to them. Lisa Bonet is one of them. Jill Scott is one of them. Erykah Badu is one of them. Even Janelle Monáe is one of them. So I just loved how he talked about establishing a friendship with Lisa Bonet, then loving her the way that he did was such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. Now let's get into Stevie Nicks. This video is going to be much shorter than my other videos when I was like, hey, it's our birthday, because I kind of want to keep it short and sweet, and let's get to it, kind of thing. And I want to try to do more short videos as the year progresses. And I know I've been taking breaks, but they've been much needed. And like I tell y'all, I got to put me first, and that's kind of where we're at. So let's move on to Stevie Nicks. The book kind of put me in a little bit of a slump, because I won't lie to you, it is quite boring. And I think that is boring because Stevie Nicks did not write this book. So because of that, it just feels very boring. There were some things that the author said, like comparing Stevie Nicks and her, entourage of women gathering and comparing it to like a powwow. I thought that word was inappropriate. I also felt like there was a part of the book where the author talked about how, Stevie Nicks and the band that she was a part of was just not trying to let black men or black people pick her up from wherever she was going to, whatever fancy event. Also, similar to Lenny Kravitz being a Nepo baby, and just reading his book and the privileges that he was afforded that I was not. There's always things that I think about. It's like how someone's life is different than mine. And Stevie Nicks, her life is definitely different than mine. And then the other people that I've talked about in this series now on year 2, I've been able to find things that I feel like I can connect to them on. And I am having a difficult time doing that with Stevie Nicks. And I actually DNF'd the book because I just felt like it was boring and I didn't want to continue reading it. But I will say that this woman, for my impression of the book, is a woman who don't stick up for herself as often. And I'm not saying that that was her fault. If you read this book, you will see like how closely tied men are to her and wanting to control her and use her. And I think a lot of people just really like the idea of Stevie Nicks versus being with her. She doesn't seem like a woman that you can just tie down and hold on to. She seems like a woman who moves at the beat to her own drum, and I think that's evident in how the book describes of how she played this song Rihanna. And I just think that she and I just have a lot of differences, even to our core, of how she just didn't want to make things political. It felt like she just wanted to live in kind of this like metaphorical La La Land. And not saying that I don't also take a trip to La La Land when I need to, but I also feel that as even content creators and as people who have other people looking to them or have fan base of some kind, we do have a responsibility, depending on the severity of it, to being engaged in things outside of ourselves, political rights, legislation, all different types of things. Like recently, I just saw that Louisiana, I cannot believe the state I was born and raised in, was like, no, we're going to set up some things to protect trans rights, and we're going to defer a couple bills that is very harmful to trans children and also their parents. And I just find that if you have a platform, and I understand we are in an age of technology and there are being so many messages thrown at us left and right, but we also have a responsibility to speak on those messages when we're able to do so. So Stevie Nicks, I think, in me to our core is just different people. And outside of her artistry, and I don't know much about her because I literally stopped, and this is me talking about what I know about her until 50% of the book, that I just couldn't get into it anymore because I feel like you have a platform, you should use it. Recently, in Real Life podcast by Angie Martinez, she invited, what's her name? Who was their name to, her pronouns are she and they, Janelle Monáe, right? And Janelle Monáe is a Black non-binary artist who's really out here doing the Lord's work. And Janelle was talking about how oftentimes she doesn't feel free, in the sense of there are places in the country where she recognized that her privilege of being famous and having money kind of makes it so that she is not affected by a lot of the legislation that has gone past for trans people and trans youth in this country. Like, this country is not only taking 50 steps back, we are returning to a time that made it not safe for anybody. Like, as a dark-skinned Black woman, I'm already aware of those things. And to see things happening that is, about people who have vaginas, we got to be careful out here. Like, there's just so many things that is going on. And I was so impressed with Janelle Monáe's response to talk about how trans people of color, more than anyone else, not discounting anybody else, are being attacked on a daily basis. And it is even before legislation and everything has been passed, and we got to deal with Florida and other states saying they BS. But I just feel like soon as I started to get more into the book and realizing that at this time of Stevie Nicks' life, and this is in the 70s and the 80s when civil rights movements and activists are really trying to get out there, and even in the late 60s, how she just wanted to choose to live underneath her white skin and her blondish hair just made it really hard for me to connect with her, not only as a artist, but also as a person. So I felt like I was just forcing myself to read that book for this vlog, and then I said, life is too short. And then I said no. So those are the main things I wanted to talk about Stevie Nicks and also Lenny Kravitz. And I hope that y'all are reading more books this year, diving into different genres, living your life. And if you feel like you don't want to read, that's okay too. Don't let anybody force you to read. But I would like everyone to, go out there and see what bills and what legislation is going through in your state, in your city. Like, get informed. And I also understand that it's so hard to be receiving all of these messages, and I know that it is so hard to stay engaged, but try to find a balance that is going to keep you engaged and keep you talking, because people with uterus bodies are being governed by a government body that is consistently and persistently including just men. Men are the ones making these choices, right? So we have to be very mindful of what we're saying, what we're doing, and how we're connecting with one another. And we also need to protect our babies. And when we say protect our babies, that is trans babies as well. So anyway, I just wanted to say all those things. And again, happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to everybody else. If May is your birthday, whether you Taurus or Gemini. And have a wonderful day. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all with another video like this next year. Bye.